welcome everyone to the GME meeting on 16th of May. We acknowledge that the Wadawurrung people, traditional owners of the land, waterways and skies. We pay our respects to elders past and present. We acknowledge all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are part of the Great Geelong community today. This meeting has been advertised and is open to the public for the first time in a long time. This meeting will be closed to the public when considering confidential items. Welcome to our gallery today, if there are members of the gallery there. Okay, committee member voting will be by a show of hands, and as per Regulatory Legislation Amendment Reform Act 2022, the Local Government Act 2020 Part 12, can I please have a show of hands for everyone that can both see and hear me and other committee members? Yep, beautiful, great, thank you. I'll go back to my sheet. Okay. Go. Okay, we've got quorum. Okay, let's go to the agenda. Okay, section 1, procedural matters, apologies.
I have an apology from Julie Maxwell, and we're expecting Councillor Contel to join us shortly.
Yeah, he was at that meeting as well, so he might be a bit late too. And I can't see whether that's for noting. I think that's for noting. Just help me out there, Sharon. Sorry. Number 2, declarations of interest. Nope.
Neil.
Nobody. Thank you. Okay. Confirmation of the minutes of the February ordinary meeting.
We have a mover and a seconder, please.
Move.
I can't hear you, Sharon. Sorry.
Oh, so
mover
and a seconder.
If somebody
mover and a seconder.
If somebody moved, I'll second.
I'm happy to move.
There's Robin. Yep.
Okay, I'll
second. Lee second. Okay. Is it my quality or is it? I think it might be me. Right.
I think it is.
Right. Are we able to have someone that can that has better quality? No, that's all right. I'll get there.
I can hear you fine, Ron.
You can hear me fine? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Someone can. Okay. Matters arising from previous minutes.
Neil matters. Oh.
Neil.
Good.
Correspondence for noting.
No correspondence. Neil.
Okay. Question time.
No questions.
Anyone in the room there?
There's no members in the gallery.
Okay. The next one. Okay, section B, reports, the budget update.
Thank you. Excuse me. The budget has been updated with the last decisions of the last ordinary meeting, which is February 2022, which was the addition of the wildfire boxing event commitment. Given it's June, given we're May, with only one more meeting until the end of the financial year, we don't expect that there will be much change to this budget, which currently has us with a 1,062,000 commitments in commitments and 592,000 unspent funds.
You've gone quiet on me again, Sharon.
To you.
Oh, sorry. You had frozen on me. Sorry. It must be me over here. I've got bad reception. Okay. Funding evaluations, the 2022 Ironman, 70.3 Geelong.
Absolutely. So the 2022 Ironman was held on the weekend of Friday, 18th of February through to Sunday, the 20th of February. One of the first major events that we had coming out of COVID restrictions. So the restrictions changed, I think, in the week before Ironman, week or two before Ironman. So they were able to pretty much run an event that was that looked back to normal, with the exception of some of their internal COVID staff management processes. Was good weekend, numbers slightly down on a typical 2022 event. On a typical Ironman 70.3 event compared to pre-COVID. So we had 883 participants and about 2,500 spectators, and that 880 participants is down from 1,000 in 2021, and numbers normally sat around the 1,300 to 1,400 mark pre-COVID. So numbers down a little bit. You may remember that the Melbourne Ironman 70.3 was due to commence in 2020. That got postponed to 21, and that eventually got postponed from October 21 through to about 4 or 5 weeks after our event. And so it may be that having another Ironman 70.3 so close in the calendar may have impacted some of those numbers. It won't normally sit at that time of year. The 70.3 Melbourne will normally sit in October of the same year. So we don't expect to see that sort of impact that closely to our calendar date. Other than that, all reports were excellent events, and worth noting that Ironman's the only event on our calendar that continued right through COVID. They managed to deliver their 2020 event before we went into COVID restrictions, and we had that slight window of COVID, reducing COVID restrictions early in 21 before we went back into lockdown. So Ironman is one of the few events anywhere in Australia's calendar that didn't miss a beat, that continued right through. In Geelong, they lost lots of other events, but we were very lucky in Geelong. So good outcome for Ironman. Would you like me to keep going, Ron, and move them on block, or did you want to move them all separately?
That's fine, Deb.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
we'll do them all at once and then go from there, Sharon. So the 2022 Wildfire Boxing.
Wonderful. Yes, 2022 Wildfire Boxing, that was round 7. It was hosted at the Geelong Arena on the 2nd of April 22, and was a successful event as well. They didn't quite reach their expectations with regard to ticketing. They had, excuse me, 950 attendees at the event, and about 50% of those were for Geelong, and the other 50% were, excuse me, non-local. That number was a little down on the 21 event. That had about 1,300 and a half attendees. So numbers down a little bit in 22 again. The next event on our eval list is Archie 100. Members will be familiar with this at the Geelong Gallery. It's a celebration of the 100th anniversary of the Archibald Prize, which was first awarded in 2021. It ran from the 5th of November through to the 20th of February. Huge success. Once again, huge numbers going through the gallery. Almost 50,000 people attended the exhibition between November and February. Original estimates were a little higher than that from the gallery's perspective. However, you know, when those expectations were set, we didn't realise we were going to have another Omicron wave come through over summer, that we saw that affect numbers generally of people attending public events. So still an outstanding result for Geelong, and an event that probably generated about $4.7 million in economic spend within the region. So an excellent investment by Geelong Major Events into helping to secure and support that event. The last event, the last eval to speak of, was the Victorian Open Golf Championships between the 10th and the 13th of February. The Vic Open did skip a year in 21, back again in 22. There were still some limitations to this event because of its international participation. We still had borders closed during February, so there was a limit to international borders closed, I should say. So there was a limit to international participation. There was some international participation, but that was from players that already happened to be in the country. But again, another successful event, notwithstanding that the field was a little different, and most of that impact was felt in the women's field. Excuse me. Over 1,100 players across the men's and women's field, 144 male and 72 female players, and an estimated 16,200 attendees, public attendees at the event. Of those, 16,000 spectators, about 35% was local, and all the rest were non-local. So again, an excellent outcome. Over $2 million of economic benefit generated from that one-day Vic Open. Sorry, it's not one day, it's a 4-day event, that 4-day Vic Open Golf Championship. So another outstanding effort. So whilst we've only had a handful of major events thus far in the 21-22 year, the ones that have been staged have still been quite successful, given we're not free of COVID right now as far as public people choosing to attend mass events. Over to you, Ron, to field questions or to move and second those on block. We've lost him.
Have we lost Ron, have we?
Yeah. Trent, would you be able to step in? We still have a quorum, so we can keep going.
No worries at all. All right. After business, are there any questions from the committee that they'd like to put for these subjects we've just talked about? Well, yep. Go ahead, Peter, while everyone's still joining us.
Sharon, oh, look, I know they're in the papers, but can you just tell me what we contributed to the gallery for the Archie, as opposed to what we contributed to the golf?
Sure, 100,000 to the Archie and 150 to golf.
Okay. 4.7 million, pretty good for the 100 grand.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And the funding ratios.
Yes. We'd welcome those exhibitions back anytime.
Yeah.
And the strength of that being over a significant period of time, that really is the reason.
Thanks.
You back with us, Ron?
I can't see anyone, but I can hear you all.
It's
I
connection.
think I can hear some of you.
Ronnie,
So we're just talking about the numbers. I'm gathering.
Ron, I'm sorry if you can't see the room, you might just have to hand over to Trent to chair the meeting. You need to be able to see to participate in the meeting.
Yeah, that's right. Trent, can you take that on my behalf, please?
Yep, absolutely, mate. Happy to keep on going since we're having technical difficulties.
Thanks. I'm trying.
Excellent.
Trying my patience.
Understood. Any other further questions from the room?
Sorry, Trent, just raising my hand. Is Brendan?
Yep. Thanks, Brendan.
Work through you, Trent, to Sharon. 28% of tickets sold were at a concession rate for the Archie 100. Is there an older demographic, or do you know what that was?
I don't. We don't. I don't believe the report has a breakdown in age. I would imagine that there's a strong senior component in those numbers, but I can certainly get those numbers and provide them to you. I don't have them at hand.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharon.
Lee?
Just a question, Sharon, and just in terms, obviously the Archies were a huge success, and part of that was that it wasn't a one weekend wonder. In terms of feedback from the organisers, did they express an interest of not necessarily this year, but you know, coming back and sharing whatever they've got with Geelong again?
Yeah, absolutely. The Archibald prize itself is on a rotation. It's a bidding process and it's on a rotation. So because we hosted that in 17, 18, I think, we probably won't see it for another 7 or 8 years in Victoria, the Archibald prize itself. However, the gallery is extremely proactive in seeking exhibitions of this calibre.
Yeah. No, it's great news. So, and hopefully they speak highly of us amongst their mates and recommend Geelong.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Excellent.
Sorry,
Could we move this?
Sorry, one more question.
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
Thank you, Trent. Sharon, a question again. In the report for the Vic Open, one of the comments it says is reviewing some aspects of the 13th Beach venue to ensure the event can be conducted in a more financially viable manner. Does that mean that it's currently unviable?
It is viable is an interesting word to use, isn't it? The event is definitely heavily reliant on state government and council funding, no question. That's the source of the significant prize money. The first couple of years they had a $5 entry fee. This year they didn't charge entry fees. And so I think they're re-looking the commercial model in relation to entry fees and how they might be able to better leverage entry. 16,000 spectators is a lot, and they probably haven't leveraged that commercially as an opportunity because they've focused on getting the product right, getting the event right, getting broadcast, they're sanctioning, but now they're moving into that next phase of looking at the layout of the course and how they can better leverage that ticketing, people paying for ticketing and how they would manage that.
Thank you.
I think we can move in second now.
Yep, absolutely. All right then. That concludes the public section of the ordinary meeting. I'll now call for a member to move that Geelong Management close the meeting to the public in accordance with section 66. Yep.
Sorry, Trent, I just need you to move and second announcement.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Mover.
Evaluations.
Absolutely. Can I move it, please, Lee? Thank you. Seconded, Natalie. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
All right. Now, in accordance with the sections I just said of Local Government Act, can I please have a move at a close? Oh, sorry, Robin, do you have a question? No, all good. To consider contractual matters, we'll move into confidential parliament. Can I please have a mover?
Yep.
Yep, thank you. And seconded, Robin, is that you putting your hand up there? Yep, so I've got Brett and Robin. Thank you very much. All right, that concludes the recording for the Geelong Major Events Ordinary Meeting for May 2022. I will now thank the gallery for attending today, and the meeting will now be closed up to the public to allow for discussion of confidential items.